Hello friends, in this video I attempt to analyze Vinayak Damodar Savarkar's monumental work, The Indian War of Independence of 1857. The momentous events of 1857 have been given many names. Some termed it as a Sepoy Mutiny, others a popular revolt, a Muslim conspiracy, or a racial war, etc. It is one of the most written and contested episodes of Indian history, and the debate still continues. It was Savarkar who, much before any nationalist, inducted the history of 1857 into the narrative of nationalism by terming it as the first war of Indian independence, in which he most optimistically portrays Hindu Muslim unity for the cause of the nation. As you all know, that Savarkar, being the intellectual fountainhead of the ideology of Hindutva, he is undoubtedly one of the most contentious political thinkers and leaders of the 20th century. Savarkar's assessment has oscillated from extreme glorification to severe condemnation. A fair assessment of Savarkar is only possible if we carefully analyze his works. Savarkar was a prolific writer with a masterly command over his native Marathi, Hindi, and English. One of his most important works is the Indian War of Independence of 1857, in which he has analyzed the nature of the revolt of 1857. Savarkar was born on 28th of May 1883 at Bhagur in Nashik district of Maharashtra, and it was at Nashik from where he completed his school education. In 1899, Savarkar founded a Society of Patriots, which he named as Mitra Mela. Most of the students of Mitra Mela were school students, and rapidly the branches of Mitra Mela mushroomed in various other schools in Nashik district. Savarkar passed his final matriculation exam with flying colors in 1902, and thereafter he joined the prestigious Ferguson's College at Pune for his BA. And here too he founded a branch of Mitra Mela, and he soon began organizing various activities. In 1904, the name of Mitra Mela was changed to Abhinav Bharat. After passing his BA and LLB exams with distinction in 1906, Savarkar was awarded the Indian House Society Scholarship. As you might be knowing, India House was founded by Shyamji Krishna Ji Verma, the noted freedom fighter and nationalist who was based at London. Now, India House was founded in 1905, and it provided residential accommodation and also scholarship to the Indian students for their studies in England. So Savarkar was awarded the India House Scholarship in 1905, and in July 1906 he goes to England, to London, and there he was admitted to the prestigious Gray's Inn for his LLM exams in order to become a barrister. And it was at the India House where he came into many prominent Indian student revolutionaries who were residing in England at that point of time, like Madam Bhikhaji Kama, Madan Lal Dhingra, Virendranath Chattopadhyay, Lala Hardyal, Bhai Parmanand, etc. In London, Savarkar intensified the activities of Abhinav Bharat, and his role model was Joseph Mazzini, the unifier of Italy, and he was very much impressed by the strategy and the revolutionary idealism and dynamism of Mazzini. And within 2.5 months of his arrival at India House in 1906, Savarkar translated the autobiography of Mazzini into Marathi. Now, this manuscript was sent back to India to Baba Rao, his elder brother, who tried very hard to find a publisher but ultimately, somehow it was published, and Savarkar had added about 25 pages to the preface of the book, in which he explained how Mazzini's strategy could be in Italy for the liberation and unification of Italy could be customized and followed by the Indian Revolutionary. The initial print was of 2000 books, and it was sold within a week. But the book was so revolutionary in nature that it was proscribed in India because of its seditious tone by the government. Now Savarkar became very much keen about writing a history of the Great Revolt of 1857, and he had recently read Kay and Malleson's work on the history of the Indian Mutiny. As we all know, that Kay and Malleson wrote the official history of the revolt of 1857 for the colonial government in India. But when he read Kay and Malleson's work, he was quite disappointed with the book, as according to him, the book had failed to document the heroics and sacrifices of the Indian protagonists like Nana Sahib, Tatya Tope, Jhansi Ki Rani, Khan Bahadur Khan, etc. And besides, the book was written in a vindictive tone from the British point of view, from the colonial master's point of view. In order to catch up more, to enhance his readings about the revolt of 1857, he became a member of the India House, India Office Library, where he got access to many files, many original files related to the revolt of 1857, and many correspondences and many works of British scholars and eyewitnesses. And gradually the events of 1857 started unfolding before him like a grand spectacle, and in a different perspective, in this way, that it appeared to him as the first war of Indian independence, which was witness to the heroic exploits and sacrifices of innumerable and many unsung Indians. It was at that point of time that there was another major event which was going to happen. So the revolt of 1857, the outbreak of the revolt, as you all know, that it was on 10th of May that the revolt, that there was the outbreak of the revolt at Meerut on 10th of May 1857. And as we all know that the Britishers really had ultimately subdued the revolt, and and in order to commemorate their victory in subduing the revolt and the sacrifices made by their soldiers and officers, the 10th of May every year in England was commemorated as a Memorial Day. Now, the year is 1907. The 10th of May 1907 was a special day. First of all, 1907 was the Golden Jubilee year. 50 years has already passed since the revolt of 1857 had happened. So obviously, this memorial event was to be celebrated on a grand scale. Number of programs were organized in London and the other cities of England. Memorial services were organized at churches, lectures were given, talks were given. And now just imagine that in India House, young Indian students are there. And all along, whatever celebrations are happening, they are happening from the British point of view. The Indian soldiers or the Indian participants, how are they portrayed? They are portrayed as looters, rapists, marauders. So all this came across as a great shock and dismay to the Indian students residing at the India House. And of course, Savarkar took the lead. Under the leadership of Savarkar, it was decided that the 10th of May, or at on 11th of May 1907, they will do a counter celebration, and they would celebrate the uprising from the Indian point of view, where the students will commemorate the sacrifices and the heroics of the Indian participants. Now this event was organized at India House. About 200, there were 200 people in the audience, and this event was prominently covered by the British newspapers like London Times, etc. So, and the Savarkar now very soon attracted the gaze of the intelligence agencies. The Scotland Yard became very alert about him. And in the meanwhile, Savarkar's research on 1857 was already continuing, and the book was reaching its final compilation. The manuscript was almost ready by this time, and only a few references needed to be cross-verified. But as I have already told you, that following the events, the organization of the memorial event at India House, the counter celebration at India House by Savarkar on the 11th of May 1907, the Scotland Yard had become suspicious about his activities, and they had planted a a double agent. There was an Indian student who was planted there, and he used to pass information to the Scotland Yard. There is an interesting story that one day that Indian student had gone out of cinema, but Savarkar and his accomplices, they had also become suspicious about this person. So they opened his room, and then when they opened his, his box, they found that there were photocopies, there were some copies of that manuscript. So when that boy came back, he was countered. I think the name of that Indian student was Kirti. So he became very apologetic, and from then on, the Savarkar used him as a double agent to pass on the information he wanted, the false information to the Scotland Yard. So all this is so fascinating, the publication of this book, how the Scotland Yard is after its is covering every activity of Savarkar. So the book was already ready, and ultimately, as you all know, that the original version of the book was in Marathi, and it was titled as Atharshe Sattavanche Swatanta Samar. So this was the Marathi version. The original version of the book is in Marathi. And now I will take you towards the most fascinating journey of the book towards its final publication. It is so interesting, Now, first of all, this book created a history of its sort by becoming the first book in the history of publication to be proscribed even before it was published. It was not published, and even before being published, just on the basis of suspicion, this book was proscribed. Now, in order to be published, this book was smuggled out of London, and it reached Baba Rao in India. But no publisher in India dared to take the risk of publishing this book. Already the police in India, they had got sent that this book had been smuggled, and the raids were carried out at many places to discover the book and to confiscate its copies. Now, when Baba Rao found that Savarkar's elder brother Baba Rao was also transported to given Kala Pani. You might be knowing, or you might not be knowing. But when Baba Rao found that it was almost impossible to publish the book in India, he sent it to Paris. But even in Paris, the French detectives were very alert, and they were working in cooperation with the British agents in order to curb the revolutionary activities in France. So there also the book was could not be published. Then it was thought that let us get the book published in Germany. Now Germany had a strong base of Sanskrit learning, and it had a sound Indology department. So it was thought by Savarkar and his accomplices and his friends that it would be possible to publish the book in Germany. But there the publisher, he was very much ignorant about Marathi, and he did a very shoddy and a clumsy job. So ultimately again the book now comes back to London. Now it was decided by Savarkar and his accomplices, friends at India House, that now let us translate the book into English. And this work was undertaken under the leadership of V.V.S. Iyer. Now the translated version of the book was ready, and already, as you know, that the original book was already published in original Marathi. Now these two manuscripts they were sent to Holland, and in Holland somehow these books were published. Now the British intelligence got news about the publication of the book. The book was now ready for distribution. Now the news of the publication of this book and its so-called and so assumed seditious content reached the ears of the then Governor General Viceroy Lord Minto. Lord Minto wrote a very stern message to the Home authorities in England that the book should be anyhow prevented from entering India. Now on 9th and 11th August, the British newspapers which used to cover India, they reported that the book had been proscribed. So the Indian War of Independence of 1857 got the distinction of being the first book in the history of publication to be proscribed even before it was published. Savarkar, the indomitable spirit he was, he immediately wrote a letter which was published in the London Times in which he denounced the unjustified proscription of the book even before it was published and even before it was verified that it was seditious in nature. Now this book was somehow smuggled into India in very different, innovative, ingenious ways by the revolutionaries of Abhinav Bharat. They were concealed in boxes. Those boxes had false labels. Madam Bhikaji Kama got the second edition of the book published in France. Third edition was published by Lala Hardjala in America, and the fourth edition by Shahid-e-Azam Bhagat Singh in India. The copies of this book were found during the raids which were conducted on the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association offices or HSRA. So now let us come to the note and tone of Savarkar's book. So powerful, was Savarkar's writing that a book remained banned in India till the end of the British rule. Savarkar wrote in Talwar. Talwar was an publication associated with Abhinav Bharat, and it was started and published by him in France. He writes in Talwar that his objective in writing this history was subject to historical accuracy in order to inspire the Indian people with a burning desire to rise again and wage a second and a successful war like that of 1857 to liberate their motherland. Savarkar most emphatically, asserted that 1857 was the first national war of independence which was fought unitedly by the Hindus and the Muslims together for the cause of their Swadharma and Swadesh. Savarkar writes that when I began to scan that instructive and magnificent spectacle, I found to my great surprise the brilliance of a war of independence shining in the mutiny of 1857. Savarkar, outrightly rejected the theory that the revolt started because of the charbi wale kartoos or the grease cartridges as the primary cause of the war. He said that a revolutionary movement cannot be just based on flimsy and momentary grievances. He argued कि अगर ऐसा होता, if this would have been the cause, then it would have been difficult to explain why it attracted Nana Sahib, why it attracted Bahadur Shah Zafar, why Nana Sahib, why Tatir Tope came in, why Khan Bahadur Khan came in, why Maulvi Azimullah came in. These cartridges, as you know, was limited to the soldiers. And that too is not very much historical or authenticated. When suspicion or objections were raised, those grease cartridges were removed immediately. They were not being used. So Savarkar emphasizes the fact that the 1857 movement continued even after the British Governor General issued a proclamation to withdraw the so-called offending grease cartridges. Savarkar has situated the rebellion, in the context of the atrocities committed by the British. What was his main argument? Savarkar's main argument was that 1857 was a war of independence, which cut across religious divides. Savarkar argued that the Western historiography has not done justice to the revolt of 1857, as it has failed to acknowledge the contributions, roles, motivations, and the sacrifices of the Indians, their heroics, of the Indian patriots So he says that they did not even bother even beyond just describing them as events, and he uses very strong language. He says that the history which has been written, most of it which has been written by the Western writers, it has been done in a wicked and a partial spirit, and they are prejudiced. And they could not and they do not want to see. Now, after 100 years passed, after 1957, the government of India decided that this is the centenary year of the Indian War of Independence, and we are going to celebrate it on a grand scale. So it was decided कि एक official history लिखा जाएगा Indian War of Independence का. प्रोफेसर आर.सी. मुजुमदार जो प्रोफेसर थे कलकत्ता विश्वविद्यालय के, so he was given the charge of being the editor of this volume. Now, at that point of time, we know that the Professor S.N. Sen from Calcutta University who contributed, Professor S.B. Chaudhary, Professor R.C. Majumdar, even Professor K.K. Datta, who was the founder Vice Chancellor of Magadha University, Bodhgaya, he had also contributed even before it. So, now let us go through the books which came out in order to commemorate the 100 years of Indian War of Independence, whose writings had been commissioned by the Indian government, so that these writings could be situated as so through these writings, the revolt of 1857 could be situated as the Indian War of Independence. Professor Sen, when we go through these writings, we find that these writings were very subdued and very mild in tone. They did not do much justice to situate the revolt of 1857 as the national legend. Now, S.N. Sen's work was very judicious, very mild in tone, and he also generalized. He never said that there was a conspiracy or there was anything very much nationalist about it. He said that it started as a fight of religion and it ended as a war of independence, but he was clear that it was not a national uprising, and even that uprising was very much limited to certain pockets of Awadh or Awadh. S.B. Chaudhary tried to prove that it started as a Sepoy mutiny, but it spread to the people, tried his best. But Chaudhary was immediately countered by Professor R.C. Majumdar. He said that it was neither the first nor national nor war of independence. So this whole nationalist project didn't make much headway. So what we find that the nationalist interpretation of 1857, which was elucidated by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar way back in 1908, it was the first and still the most forceful and bold assertion that 1857 was a war of independence or nationalist uprising. Savarkar had explains the purpose behind writing this book, which makes it clear that what was his main argument. He says that I thought that my countrymen will be most agreeably disappointed, even I was, at this buried spectacle in one of the most neglected corners of our history. If I could show this to them by the light of research, so I try to do the same, and am able today to present to my Indian readers this startling and faithful picture of the great revolt, of the great events of 1857. Now, the preface of the book concludes, the special tribunal which tried him in 1910 for waging a war against the King of Courts of England and sentenced him to transportation for life and forfeiture of his property, quotes in his judgment as overwhelming proof the following statement, which was issued by Savarkar from London in 1908. This statement has been quoted from his book. This has been written in his book. Now, what is this statement? The war which began on 10th of May 1857 is not over on 10th of May 1908, nor it can ever cease till a 10th of May comes and it sees that destiny accomplished and the motherland stands free. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.